and welcome to a quick demo of Showtime, my BES channel push freeware utility for the Lotus Notes client. In this demo, I'll show you how you can easily deploy and delete icons on specific BlackBerry devices, how you can pre-cache websites for faster access on those mobile devices, and how you can start using message push in your workflow applications. The items that I'm going to cover are the prerequisites for Showtime, the preference documents, job documents, transaction logs, and then we'll wrap it all up. Without much further ado, we'll jump right into it. We have the prerequisites for Showtime version 0.1 are the prerequisites for the BES channel push API, and that is that you have to have MDS running on your server, you have to have the push port enabled. We'll get more into that, and that'll make more sense with the preference document if you're not familiar with that. And you need to have, or at least the client that's running Showtime needs to have access, network access, to the BES server. This doesn't require that you actually run on your BES server, but does require that you do have access to that server. As you can see, I'm actually running this demo off of my local, so while you don't need direct, it doesn't have to reside on the server like a lot of the push applications do. As long as you have access to it, you're good to go. The preference document, and this actually does use the logic-defined UID and environment variable that you can see in my last quick demo, uses the same logic. So, moving forward, if you click on preferences, you'll actually want to go in here, and you can leave this alone. We'll get into this later throughout the demo. But you'll want to specify the BES name. I set up a quick test. The BES port that you have access to the BES, and the default's 8080, and the push port, which defaults to 7874. So I left these as default. I'll just go in now, and I've set up a quick job document. The application relies on job documents to perform the various push events, whether that's a channel push, a channel delete, but we'll get into that by just opening up. I've set up one for planetlotus.org. Now, on my BlackBerry, I access the mobile implementation of planetlotus.org all the time, and that's at planetlotus.org/mobile. Great little application, allows me to see when I'm remote exactly what's going on in our community. So I go in here and I set a little description so I know what document it is. I'll set the type, and I want to actually put an icon on my BlackBerry device for planetlotus.org. And to do that, I'm going to select browser channel. Now, I'll go through these in a second. I'll show you in this demo each of these, each example of what Showtime can do. Priority, you might think that, well, everything has to be high. This is actually based off of the notification of the push, and none is it happens behind the scenes as well as low. Medium and high, and I'm not too sure the variant, you can play around with it, will send almost a broadcast message to your device. You'll get a pop-up on the screen telling you that, hey, this icon's been updated. A lot of the times you'll want to do this behind the scene, just populating content, or you're pushing out a new icon. A lot of the times, though, if it's a brand new icon, you'll want to notify the user of that. So you bump that up in priority. We'll stick with none for this example. Reliability mode. Now, I'm still getting used to the BES push API myself, but how I understand it is application preferred tries application, fails over to transport. Application is if you already know that you can push applications out to a device, and a transport runs basically in if all else fails, it's going to create that initial transport. I had to, when I had first pushed to my device, because I'd never done a push app, I needed to select transport. But now that I know it's working, I'll just select application. Again, I'm still not all that familiar with the ins and outs of the BES Push API, which is why this is a version 0.1 release. It'll be updated as I'll learn what the heck I'm doing. The status and category is specific to Showtime, and that is active or inactive status. And categorization just does what all categorization does. It helps us sort the job documents in this case. Status actually plays off of a functionality that I built in to just run active jobs or selected jobs. So with the addition of a sidebar widget, you can say, hey, I want to process all active jobs, and it'll go through, grab all active jobs, and push those out. The URL, this is when the user clicks on the icon, this is what is launched. As you can see here, I've gone with the planetlotus.org/mobile. Now, there's a current issue with my test BES environment, and that's really limited me to not only showing you a live example of this in rendering the mobile page, but point your mobile browsers to planetlotus.org/mobile, and you'll see it's really useful. But I've also had to bring the icons internal so they would just show up on my BlackBerry. And I've done that by setting this internal, and I have a read and unread icon for each state. When the icon is new or has been updated, it will show this updated icon. Now I'll show you what that looks like when I actually perform this push. When it's been read, it shows the standard icon, and you can define these at will. For newer models, it's 32 by 32. It accepts alpha and index transparency, so you can get really tricky with how they look. I've picked a very basic one, and when you see it pop up, you'll know that it's a planetlotus.org icon. Now, the recipient list, I've actually used a name picker. You can use not only the PIN number, which this is my device PIN number here, but you can also use SMTP addresses. As long as they are rendered on the BES server and the BES server knows who that is, you don't have to run around and get the PIN numbers for all the recipients. You can define their email addresses here. Great for quite frankly for everyone, because I didn't know my PIN number, so it's a great little feature that I had to read the documentation to find out that you can actually do it that way. But just for the sake of purposes, for the purpose of this demo, we're going to go with my PIN number here. So I'll save my changes, I'll select this, I'll select Actions, Showtime, and select the job documents. Now, over on the right hand side here, this is actually a live demo of my BlackBerry, and as you can see, we have a planetlotus.org icon. It's the P in the Planet Lotus icon. Hopefully no one takes offense to me using the icon and butchering it up. And I put a little check mark there showing that it's been updated. Now, I can go in here and I'll click this, and it will actually render the page. But as I had said, I'm having some problems with my BES environment, so I'll just cancel out of that. You can see here's the standard status. So I had my unread status, and now my standard status icon. But let's just say I didn't want to deploy this. I could just as easily go in to my job document and select that I want to delete that icon. It's going to know which icon I'm referencing because of the URL. It actually uses that as the unique identifier for which icon you'll see on the screen. I submit the changes. That's still highlighted, so I'll select Actions, Showtime, select the job document. So if we look over on the right-hand side here, before I can even get to it, it's been deleted directly from my device. Now, that's the channel push and the channel delete. There are two other options here. You have the browser content, and this is great for pre-caching websites, such as internal intranets or documentation, document libraries, things that don't change that often, or things that you just want to pre-cache so they're faster and more accessible to the mobile devices, because you're coming over Edge at best, although you may have a 3G such as the new Bold, or with Verizon you may be picking up a Storm. All the either 3G or HSBDA, I think is the term, I don't know, I'm an AT&T guy, will still work, and you'll actually be able to pre-cache that information. Doesn't do great for a demo, so I'll actually show you a browser message. If I select OK here, same content here, I go in and I'm going to process this. A browser message, for those who are not familiar with this, actually not only notifies you that you have a unique message in your inbox, it deposits a message in your inbox. See the little icon there? When I click on this, it performs the same action as a channel push icon, launches a URL. Now this can be used with your workflow applications. If you have a document that requires approval and you've written a web or mobile client design element specific to allow them access to it, you can use message push to push out those to the approvers. I'm babbling on, so I'll cut it quick. You can use this application to really not only enhance the user experience with your BlackBerry and push your applications out there, but also really improve the overall mobile application effort with the browser message. It's a really cool option. Now, transaction logs, you'll see I've performed 3 actions here, so I'll actually go in. We'll take a look at the first. You'll see here's the URL to my BES server over port 8080, which was required. See that I'm interacting directly with the push Java, or the Java servlet, and passing through my PIN number over port 7874, which is that push port. All that's defined within the preference document. And here's the information that I've relayed. You can play around with the transaction logs, see what went right and what went wrong. And that's about it. Any questions, comments, suggestions, feel free to reach me at the information in the show notes. Feel free to always find me at c2e@dominoguru.com or on the web at www.dominoguru.com. And hope you liked the demo. Take care.